because when you cut through it, there is this wonderful creaminess of it, and it's fabulous to be used with a tomato salad or with just about anything that you would want to make. If you never had mozzarella burrata, you must do it. Ciao, I am Nick Stellino. Today I picked up a couple of wonderful recipes from my past. We will make stuffed meatloaf, in Italian called polpettone, followed by a chocolate butter cake with rum cream sauce. Please, join me in the kitchen. Spicy just right. Stuffed meatloaf. In Italian, we call it polpettone. The version I'm going to show you is the Sicilian version, the one that I love. And by the way, the sauce in which we braise it, you can use it to top your spaghetti. Gravy, wonderful. How do we get this going? First and foremost, pay attention to this because it's an unusual way to start a sauce, but it's a way that it's very important. We have here just plain tomato sauce, which are adding to the pan, and then stock. Chicken stock always, because I like the gentle way in which chicken stock renders itself, making it so that the sauce is not overwhelmed by a strong meat flavor. Why do I mix these two? Very important for you to realize that we are going to be braising the polpettone inside the sauce. If we just put tomato sauce, the tomato sauce would reduce and then become real guppy. This way, instead, as it reduces, it maintains a nice fluid amount. And by the time it gets to the perfect rendition, which is the finished product, it will be just the perfect sauce consistency, as most of the chicken stock will evaporate it and will have gone down to the original rendition of the tomato sauce. So you want to cover this, you want to bring this up to a boil. Once it reaches a boil, lower it down to a simmer while we proceed right now with the mixture of the polpettone. I know I keep calling it polpettone. It's stuffed meatloaf, but trust me, the true Italian word is polpettone. You have to do this with the hand. It makes it even more emphatic. How do we do this? You're going to love this. This is day-old bread, or even more old than that day. The cubes of bread being cut, if you can have a chance to toast them, or even non-toasted would be fine. People say, why do you want to use the bread when you can just use breadcrumbs? I'm glad you asked that question. Actually, I asked it myself, but there is a purpose why I asked it. If you were to use breadcrumbs and put it into the mixture, it would work. It would work very well. But it would be very tough. The finished product is going to be almost brick-like consistency. There is a certain airiness that the bread brings after it's been marinated in milk. Now, if you're allergic to milk, if for whatever reason you cannot have milk, you can marinate it in chicken stock or just plain water. The result is the same. What we want to do right now is to let this bread sit into this flow for about 15-20 minutes until it gets nice and soft. And then, here it is. You have to see this because it's extremely important. This is what the bread will look like after it has marinated inside the milk. As you can see, it's plumped up, it has absorbed the milk, it's fluffy, it's nice. What you want to do is squeeze the excess milk, and this is what we're going to do here with the hand. You squeeze it as much as you possibly can. If there's some left behind, it's not a problem. Try to leave as much of the milk behind, because the thing is that the milk would make the mixture too liquid. This right here is one of our main ingredients. But let's go with the other ingredients. I like to put ground beef, ground pork, ground veal. As we are talking, let's get started and let's mix everything together. This is something in which you got to get your hands dirty. Now watch what I do. I grab it fully with a hand like this. I turn it. My hand is my most effective tool, and this technique that I'm showing you right now is I turn the bowl slowly. Now I mix everything is the best way to mix it all. When you use the meat, when you select the meat, you want to go with a good 15% minimum of fat. If you were to use just the leanest cut of beef, the leanest cut of veal, the leanest cut of pork, this would be a problem. During the cooking process, all the juices from the meat will be released into the sauce. And the leaner the meat is, the tougher this whole process would be. Now, to make sure that we bind all the ingredients together, so we have the 3 meats and the bread, one of the addition is definitely egg yolks. So we have here a whole egg that we put in there. We're going to mix it all together. Together with that, you want to make sure that it's absorbed completely. And another binding agent that will work wonders for us is the cheese. You can use grated Parmesan cheese. You can use Romano, provolone, whatever you like. Just go at it. Don't worry about what it looks like at first, because Right now, what you're seeing is just a mixture. Later, all of these ingredients cooking together will bound themselves into a one solid finished look. This polpettone is really addictive. It is great to make sandwiches with the day after, to serve it. I'll show you the different techniques on how you can go at it. Basically, now we are where we want to be. Let me show you how to assemble it, because there is a special technique on how to do so. What I have in here is cheesecloth. You must be looking at me and saying, oh, he's only using one hand. He's amazing. Yes, I am. But there is a reason why I want to use this hand. I still need to go. I have taken a single large cut of the cheesecloth. And as you can see it, I've folded it on itself. So now basically is two sheets kind of a thing. One on top of it, a single one folded in half. I then take the meat, and first and foremost, take a portion of the meat and you put it right in the middle. And you create like a skinny part of it. Watch this, because it's most interesting. Now what I do at this point, I make it as flat as possible. You want to create a dent into the middle of the meat. Right here in this dent, we're going to start to assemble the other ingredients. First, we go with the ham. A ham slice, whichever is your favorite one. In Italian, this type of ham we call it prosciutto cotto. There's a difference between prosciutto and prosciutto cotto. Boiled ham is the definition in Italian of prosciutto cotto. Then take a look at the eggs that we're using. This one I want to show you. This is a regular boiled egg. You see it? Take a look at it. It's got both points on each side. In order to make this more effective, what we have done, we've taken the egg, and if you can see it, the one that I have on the other side, we have cut the end. Why? I'll show you why. As you put the eggs inside, one next to each other, you see how they perfectly get connected. The little bit of the cutting that you do makes the assembly process a lot easier. So here we go with the other eggs as well. And you know what? I need another egg. I'll show you how simple it is to do it. Oh, there you are. Right there it is. I was going to cut the end for you. The next part is the addition of the cheese. You can do it with slices. In Sicily, what we really do, we take either provolone or romano, we cut it in sticks and we put it next to it. But one of the things that I find, if you just put shredded provolone cheese on top of it, is wonderfully fantastic. It's easier to distribute, and it just goes exactly where you want. If it goes outside the limit of what you're seeing, a lot of people get really worried about it. Don't. It is not an issue, because ultimately everything will melt. Now, we have other meat still available, so what I like to do at this point is take the other meat and just put it on top. Just like this, elongate it as much as you can. Now, watch this, because this is where this whole thing comes together. First, what I do, I force the roundness by just simply doing this. I'm using my hands as a guide. This is the mixture that we want to do. We want to shape it into a log. Once we shape it into a log, we're going to continue, and you see, rolling it as it is. Now we have these two ends. These two ends will dictate for us where we want to go. So I'm going to take this string, I'm going to put it on the end, and I'm going to go around a couple of times, just like this. The excess of the string, just cut it off. You don't need it. The other string now, and I will turn this around, is the defining part of it. Look what I want you to do. I want you to push in and twist. The more you twist this, the more you tighten the inside of it. You see it's becoming more and more of a oval shape, almost like a football. That's what you're thinking of. The more you turn this until it gets to the point where you feel it's nice and tight, keep pushing it down. If some meat is cut in here, it's not a problem. That's not an issue. What you want to do is get this consistency perfectly done. Once you've done the consistency to where you want to have it, then the next thing that you do, you tie another knot right in here and another one right in here. The rest is tying up with the remaining string, just so that we make almost like a salami. So you'll see exactly what I mean. Here's the first string that it's important when you assemble this, that all these strings are already cut. It makes your life so much easier. You're going to thank me for that. So I put it underneath, and here we go with the first one, right on top. All of this is for the sole purpose of allowing this meat to keep its shape. And here is the second one. Then the excess, where you want to do it, you just want to cut it off. Now, the one thing that I like to do at the end is also to cut off the ends as much as possible, like this. Over here, over here. Now, we have our log. It's exactly the way we want to have it. This will harden once it goes inside the sauce. The sauce, first you want to bring it to a boil. Once it gets to a boil, you want to reduce it and have it in a nice warm simmer. At this point, we take our polpettone and we place it on the inside. Once we place it on the inside, we cover it again. Why? It's important that you put a cover on it so that the heat that comes from underneath bounces up to the top of the cover, goes back down again. This has to cook between 45 minutes to 60 minutes. Why the difference? The truth is that before you take it out, you want to use a meat thermometer and make sure that on the inside you have at least 150 degrees. Depending on the size of the polpettone, of the meatloaf that you have, you might need more or less time. 45 minutes to 60 minutes is the approximate amount, and it works just perfect. So you cook it for 45 to 60 minutes, extremely important. Every 20 minutes you have to baste it and turn it, baste it and turn it. Why? It's important as you baste it and as you turn it, it cooks evenly on all sides. I'm going to let this cook now until it's ready, and then I'm going to show you exactly how to finish this dish, and you're going to love the things that I'm going to show you. Now, pay attention. I'm full of information. I'll make sure you get this one right. Follow me. This is another polpettone that I made ahead of time. I have cooked it all the way through, the way in which it's supposed to be. As you can see, it still has the cheesecloth and the strings all around. I let it cool off. Now, follow me because I'm going to take you to my cutting board. Here's another polpettone that I've also made. I've taken the cheesecloth out altogether. It's nice and cool. As you can see, I can actually touch it. What I propose when you make this at home, after you clean it, put it back in the refrigerator so it becomes nice and cool and much easier to handle. Now, we have to cut this into slices. So watch this. I always like to start from the middle. So we started right here from the middle. We got this. You have to look at this. This is exactly what I call the money shot. You want to play professional cooking shows? This is it. This is how you do it. I cannot tell you as a kid how excited I was to do this. So you cut a few slices, as thick or as thin as you want. Since this is going to be a man-sized polpettone, we're going to cut them nice and good. So look at this. What I'm using next is a non-stick saute pan that can take the heat. Remember, 375, first and foremost, in the bottom, we put a little bit of extra virgin olive oil, and then we light our slices right here, just exactly like this. We're gonna put this in the oven, and we're gonna let this cook, reheat, so to speak, for about 15 minutes, okay? Let's do that. And here it is, nice and hot out of the oven. I love it. It's cooked all the way through. We are now ready to serve. This is how I like to go at it. The sauce that we had reserved in which the polpettone is cooked is a most important thing. We have a couple of roasted potatoes, some sauteed green beans. First and foremost, I like to place the sauce down. You can put it on top of the polpettone if you want, but I find this to be a bit more of an elegant fashion in doing it so. Who says so? I do say so. And since I'm the one cooking, that is how we roll. So here we go. Which one should I go with? It's always the embarrassment of the choice. They're all so beautiful. Remember, these are pretty sizable slices, so you do not want to be thinking that 3 is where you want to go. Ay, 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 ay. This is how you do it. And don't be like me. Oh, mamma mia. I almost don't want to give it to you. I just want to eat it myself. I'm looking at this and I'm thinking like, I'm 10 years old. My mom just brought the polpettone. Nicolino, Mario. My brother's name was Mario. Sedetevi che è pronto da mangiare. And I say, eh sì, il polpettone è arrivato. The stuffed meatloaf, it's here. And there it is. Fresh farm eggs in the city. Is this possible? Actually, yes. Here's my friend Bridget, who decided one day to make it happen. Bridget, how'd you come up with this idea?
It was so fun. We had a glass of wine one night. My neighbor and I cut a hole in the fence and started building it. So here we go.
Knowing you, I actually believe it. Now, you have 6 chickens in here. How many eggs do you get from 6 chickens?
We normally get 6. They're a year old now, and a couple of them are brooding, so now we're just getting 4.
Brooding, what does that mean?
That's where they take a break from laying, and they take about a month and just go on vacation. And then they come back.
The other thing that I noticed is that you are feeding them actually lettuce, but you also show me that you're feeding them sometime onions, tomatoes.
Vegetable trim, flowers.
Do you feel this flavoring inside the eggs when you have it in the morning?
Yeah, because they're dark and rich, like the eggs in Italy. They're that rich, beautiful orange color, and I miss that from having not been there. So
I have to show you something else. Now, this is built this way for one reason. Why don't we show people?
Yeah, the nesting box. So
there's
there's one in here now.
Oh, let's not disturb me.
Yeah, and then we've got a couple. These came came in. A couple of the chickens lay in the morning,
Uh-huh.
and there are a couple that lay kind of afternoon, mid-afternoon, and a few that lay at night.
And so you just, oh,
There's
nice
it.
and
I
warm.
got a basket
love
for
this.
you to take with you.
Oh, I'm taking the
Perfect.
basket.
Yeah.
I'm not paying you anything. I'm taking the basket. I'm inviting you over for dinner. Ciao,
Okay,
Bella.
Joe. Frittata.
These
Okay.
are my eggs. I'm going to take them with me to my kitchen, and I'm going to make some delicious recipe.
Ciao.
Bella.
Cheers.
Ciao. Chocolate butter cake with rum cream sauce, but the true star of this whole thing are the eggs. Look at these eggs. Are beautiful. How lucky am I to have a friend who actually has live chickens in her backyard, and she's giving me those eggs. These eggs are fantastic. You have no idea the difference between fresh eggs and the ones you buy at the store. As a matter of fact, I'm using these very eggs for making this recipe. It's a very simple recipe. It is sweet, but it has a texture, a flavor, something that takes you back to your childhood. And this is a foolproof cake. It's the kind of cake you can make anytime for your family and friends and feel like a professional. As a matter of fact, you should master the stand. This is the stand of a professional. When something comes out of the oven and you know what you're doing, you give it this look and go, I feel very Stellino-like. Rehearse it in front of the mirror very fast, 4 to 5 times. You're gonna talk just like me. First thing we do, the eggs. The eggs are here. I like to mix them before we use anything, and I do it just because it's fun to do. I like to turn the bowl just because it's fun to turn the bowl. Do I have to? Maybe not, but I love to do it because it makes me feel like I'm busy and I know what I'm doing. The next thing though, it's right here. This is the large bowl in which you want to put all the ingredients. The fact that this bowl needs to be fairly large is extremely important because you want to be able to mix everything without spilling it out. The first thing we do is the addition of flour. Then we have the baking powder, and then we add the sugar. Before we do anything else, before we add any of the wet ingredients, you want to make sure that these dry ingredients are well mixed. A lot of people say, why? Why? You know, you should always ask yourself why. If you understand the action and reaction of things, you get to understand how doing something as simple as a step like this is going to ensure the perfect cake. You want to make sure that you do not have clumps of separation between these ingredients. You want to make sure that these ingredients have now become one. And this is something where, visually speaking, I'm trying to look and you can see the layering. In spite of the fact that on the whitish color, you can see where there might be some clumps that you need to break down, and you can really see once you got it done all together. Now, very important that all your other ingredients are here next to you, ready to flow. So the first thing that I like to add is the butter, melted butter. Plenty of it. Non-salted melted butter. I prefer non-salted for the fact that I want the salt not to be so much present in this flow. Together with this, we need to add the milk, and we go with it. Mamma mia, guarda, guarda, è un'invasione, un'invasione. Guarda. Now look, with a spatula, very gently. Everything has to be done gently. You want to make sure that it moves gently. And you want to have a spatula with a wide platform, so to speak, because you want to be able to grab everything and put it in. Push it down and bring it around. Push it down and bring it around. There, there, there. Now the addition of the eggs. On the eggs, you want to be a bit more patient. You do not want to rush. You do not want to add them all at once. Give yourself a little bit of space. Work them in gently. So first we go with the first addition. Let's say that this is 1 egg. And you see what happens. The egg incorporates themselves perfectly well into the batter, exactly like this. Sempre di qua, piano piano. It's one of those things which is a good workout because you need to burn as many calories as possible, because this cake will put them on for you. Now, gently, gently, always gently, the way in which you flow with things. Like, guarda qua che bellezza. Piano piano, piano piano, dolce dolce. And when it comes to this, you need to be patient. A lot of time people go fast right through this, and in the process, if you do not incorporate the eggs into the mixture, into the butter, you see how you see how the butter is, what could I say, is plumping up. Those are the eggs and the air that we're putting into it, and they're being completely absorbed by the flour. And there you are. They are an important portion of this whole recipe because they provide the building block upon which you build this cake. The next thing is even more important, and that's the addition of chocolate. Without chocolate, this whole cake doesn't exist. I should be putting just a tiny bit like this, but knowing that I am me, this is what we're gonna do. You can use chocolate chips. I like to use shaved chocolate. The reason why, first, the better quality of chocolate comes in big blocks. Second, I like the fact that as it melts, it has this uneven look, and every once in a while, by surprise, you have a little bit that you bite right into it, and is an absolute bit of deliciousness. I call them pearls of paradise. Non-stick spring pan, extremely important. Do not use anything that is not non-stick. This has to be non-stick. Will make your life a lot easier. Now watch what we do next. Be patient with this. First you pour it into the middle. As you pour it into the middle, guide it all the way through. Gently, gently. The oven right now is preheated at 375 degrees. Then using the spatula, move it all the way around. Make sure that it covers very well. The last thing that I like to do is this, to make sure that we break any kind of bubbles that we might have. I'm going to place this in the oven, 375 degrees. I'm going to cook it for 35 minutes. We're going to let it cool off, and I'm going to show you how to make the sauce that goes on top of this, which is the end of the world. Now, the cake is ready. This cake is fantastic, but what I've done, I'll let it cool off. Then I have taken it out of the ring mold and placed it in the refrigerator. The reason why I like to do that is because it really solidifies the texture, make it a little bit more dense. When your guests arrive and you're ready to serve this at the end of your dinner, one of the things that I would propose is that you let it sit outside for about 45 minutes until it comes to temperature. Now take a look at the slice that I cut already for you. You can see all the layers to it. You can see the bits of chocolates that were trapped on the inside. Some have fallen to the bottom. Some I've cut up halfway through, big, small ones. Each one of this is a morsel of delight. That's how I like to refer to it. This is one of the simplest combinations that you will ever find in the making of a cake that will give you the greatest satisfaction ever. But what I'm about to share with you now is the secret for the rum, cream, butter, sauce. I have to spell it all out because you think, what does it mean? That's it. That's all the ingredients in there, plus sugar, of course. Now, what I want to walk you through is the assembly process of this. First and foremost, you do start with the butter. You want to make sure that the butter softens. Make sure that as you add the butter, you are cooking with a medium-low heat. This is very important. We're going to add the sugar now. If the sugar goes to very high heat together with the butter, it's going to make a caramel. Nothing wrong with that, but it's a completely different sauce. So you want to go at it gently, nicely. You want to incorporate the sugar, and you will see that first it becomes dense. As more and more butter starts to melt into it, you start to get the flow that you wish to have. Now watch what happens as I start to add the rum. The rum is going to help you create a wonderful glaze that we're looking for. Slowly but surely, here we go with the rum. Look at this, a little bit at a time, a little bit at a time. First it goes dark, and you see the glaze already forming. With the glazing that the rum does, how it marries together with the molten sugar and the butter. We're getting the finish that we want, but it's not over yet. The next thing that we're going to do, gently moving about, is the adding of the cream. And the cream gives us the signature look that ultimately will turn this into one of the most delectable sauces you will ever see. Gently, sweetly, keep stirring, gently, gently. Once you incorporate all the cream and the sauce has come to completion, this is the consistency that you have. If you think this is great, let me show you what happens when we truly use it, the way in which this is supposed to go. Watch this because it's awesome. You've seen the slice, so you know what the cake looks like. And here goes the cream. Prepare yourself, because this should be legal the way in which I show it. You see it dripping right on the side, slowly, surely. This is the moment in which you say to yourself, should I be on a diet? Maybe tomorrow, but not right now. Why? Because paradise comes once in a while, and this that you're looking at, this chocolate butter cake with rum cream sauce, is the sweetest temptation that you will ever endure. And when people ask you, and they will, and they're gonna say, did you make this? Don't lie. Say the truth. Just tell everybody that this cute guy with an accent showed to you how to make it. And his name is Nick Stellino. And this is his recipe. And there you go. Thank you for joining me once again. I hope you enjoyed the recipes that we made together. Polpettone, stuffed meatloaf. I bet you've never seen that before. And then a chocolate butter cake with a rum cream sauce. That was absolutely fantastic. I hope you use them to entertain and impress some of your dearest friends, and especially members of your family. Please turn your home into your favorite restaurant. Until next time, ciao. Some people like gin. I like vodka. Why? Well, gin is made from vodka. It's a second distillation that takes flavor, some flavoring that's added to it. Vodka in its purest form is 95% pure. It could be made from potato, wheat, grains, even fruit for that matter. As a matter of fact, different ingredients give to the vodka a completely different flavor. I would suggest that next time you stop at your favorite liquor store, try different vodkas to get a clear sense of the flavor profile that you like. As for you martini drinkers, you can go with gin, but if you're anything like me, vodka is the only way.
Coffee crusted chicken with cafe latte barbecue sauce, because barbecued chicken doesn't have to be burnt. Cinnamon chipotle brine chicken. This one may contain a lot of ingredients, but it's really simple to make. And spatchcock game hens with basil marinade. That basil has such a great fresh smell. When bird meets grill, everyone eats well. I'm Stephen Reichland, and from the beautiful Tubac Golf Resort in southern Arizona, it's time to grill. When I was growing up, barbecue meant chicken marinated in sweet barbecue sauce, grilled burnt black on the outside, still raw in the center, and perfumed with essence of lighter fluid. Well, if that sounds familiar, listen up. I'm going to show you how to grill chicken that does America's favorite bird justice. This coffee-crusted chicken dish is my version of good old-fashioned barbecued chicken. The rub is made with ground coffee. The barbecue sauce contains a shot of espresso. And it's a grilled chicken dish that's really designed to wake you up. Here's an idea to make you sit up and take notice. Barbecued chicken with coffee rub, mocha mop, and cafe latte barbecue sauce. And it starts with 2 half chickens. Now, using poultry shears, cut off any excess pieces of skin or bone. Next, make the rub. It starts with ground coffee, granulated sugar, sweet paprika, salt, and cracked or freshly ground black pepper. Mix the ingredients for the rub with your fingers so you can break up any lumps that may be in the sugar. Sprinkle the chicken with the rub on both sides, massaging it into the meat. You can certainly cook the chicken right away, but it will have even more flavor if you let it marinate in the refrigerator for 4 to 6 hours. To judge from the amount of poultry served at American barbecues, chicken is one of our favorite foods to grill. And to judge from the amount of burnt chicken or uncooked chicken served at American barbecues, it's one of the dishes we need the most help with. To achieve that authentic smoke flavor, it's best to cook the chicken on a charcoal grill. Best way to light charcoal is in a chimney starter, natural lump charcoal in the top, and either a piece of crumpled newspaper or a paraffin fire starter in the bottom. Advantage of the chimney, it funnels the heat upwards so the coals light uniformly. Now we want to set up the grill for classic indirect grilling. Rake some of the coals out on one side and some of the coals out on the other. Push the coals so the grill is open in the center. Place a drip pan between the mound of coals. And this is as much to help you set up the fire for proper indirect grilling as it is to catch the drippings from the chicken. Okay, place the grill grate on top, take the chicken and arrange it on the grate away from the heat over the drip pan. And finally, to generate the smoke flavor, a handful of hickory or oak chips on each mound of charcoal. I've soaked the chips in coffee to keep up with our coffee theme. Soaking the chips enables them to smolder rather than catch fire. Now, let me talk about the method I'm using here a minute. I call this smoke roasting. I actually prefer smoke roasting the chicken at a moderate temperature at 350 degrees to the traditional low and slow barbecue. True, barbecue gives you very moist, succulent chicken, but you know what? The skin comes out leathery. And for me, the best part of the chicken is crackling, crisp skin. Simply cover the grill, and is this right? No. You want the vent holes in the center so the smoke is drawn evenly over the bird, and adjust this top vent so you achieve a temperature of about 350 degrees. On a chicken this size, cooking time will be about an hour and a quarter. The beauty of coffee, it's very aromatic, it's a little bit bitter, it's a little bit sweet. It plays to a lot of different sensations on your taste buds. And with a rich meat like chicken, it's absolutely fantastic. Mop sauces are something of an anomaly in the world of barbecue sauce. They don't taste particularly good in themselves, but they're critical in adding an extra layer of flavor and moisture. This one, in keeping with our coffee theme, starts with coffee, cocoa, salt, and beer. And what do you notice about this mop sauce? It contains not 1 ounce of sugar. Simply whisk these ingredients until mixed. And we'll apply this to the barbecued chicken. So it's been about 45 minutes, and you can start mopping the chicken. Use a barbecue mop, or if you don't have one, you can use a simple basting brush. The idea of the mop sauce, again, it adds an extra layer of flavor and it helps keep the bird moist during cooking. So cover the grill about another half an hour, and we'll mop every 15 minutes. The cooking time for the chicken halves, about an hour to an hour and 15 minutes. So what about that barbecue sauce? Well, I only mention it at the end because many chickens have been doomed by putting the sauce on too early. This is a cafe latte barbecue sauce. The recipe is on the website, and I brush it on the last 2 minutes of cooking. Then turn the chicken and place it directly over the fire to sizzle the sauce into the skin. See, if you put the sauce on too early, the sugar will burn before the chicken is completely cooked. A little barbecue sauce and a bonus recipe, barbecued beans. You'll find the recipe on the website. This sure isn't like the barbecue chicken I grew up on. Brining is another technique you use to combat another challenge of cooking chicken, which is its tendency to dry out on the grill. And a brine is simply a marinade made with salt and sugar and water. And by the mystical process of osmosis, when you place a piece of chicken or a whole chicken in the brine, the meat absorbs the brine. It's a common problem, chicken that comes off the grill dry. There's a simple solution: cure it in a brine. A brine is nothing more than a saltwater-based marinade. This one may contain a lot of ingredients, but it's really simple to make. So first, the whole spices: cinnamon and cloves, which you know, and fennel seed, and star anise, which has a smoky licorice flavor. Roast the whole spices in a dry skillet over medium heat until they start to release some of their aromatic oils. Next, coriander, hot pepper flakes, dried thyme, chopped flat leaf parsley, cocoa powder, bay leaves. Don't forget to stir your roasted spices so they don't burn. Granulated sugar, brown sugar, coarse sea salt. We're going to have a contrast of sweet and salty in this brine. And then chipotle chilies, which are smoked jalapeno chilies for both heat and smoke. And the juices from the chipotle chilies, those are called adobo. Garlic, and a little liquid smoke. And last of all, the roasted spices, and the aromatic oils are incredible. Okay, place these ingredients in a large container and add water at room temperature. See, I'll just use it to dissolve those spices. Now whisk this mixture until the sugar and salt is dissolved. And that's all there is to making the brine. This is a 6-pound roasting chicken. Let me show you a cool way to truss it. First of all, tuck the wingtips under the wings. And then come in with a bamboo skewer through and under the bone in one drumstick. Then twist it around. Come through and under the bone of the other drumstick. Then twist the skewer and poke it through the bottom of the bird. By the way, I learned this technique from my son Jake, who's a chef in New York. And why do you truss a chicken? Well, it just looks more pleasing than a bird that's sort of flopping all over the place. Place the chicken in the brine. Make sure the brine is cold. To keep the bird submerged, you can place a zip-top bag filled with water on top. Okay, place the brine chicken in the refrigerator and marinate it for 24 hours. I told you this would be simple. The beauty of the brine is that it makes the bird moist. This brine also contains a tremendous amount of flavor thanks to the fresh herbs, the chipotle chilies, cinnamon sticks. If you've ever found grilled chicken to be bland, this is for you. Well, this chicken has been brined for 24 hours. Just take it out of the brine and put it over here to drain. How does brining work? Well, remember your high school chemistry? It's a process called osmosis. The brine has a greater mineral density than the liquid in the chicken. it wants to achieve equilibrium so the brine actually flows into the chicken, making the chicken both moist and incredibly flavorful. Now, there are lots of grills and smokers you could use to cook the chicken. We're using a pellet smoker, and pellet smokers have gotten a lot of attention recently. How do they work? Well, they use these pellets of compressed hardwood sawdust, and you place the pellets in the hopper, then turn on the smoker, and at a lower temperature, the smoker smokes only. You can also increase the temperature to a higher temperature to roast, so it's kind of a smoker roaster. So put the chicken in the smoker. And I'm going to smoke roast it at 325 degrees for about 2 hours. Chicken presents a very unique set of problems for the grill master. Why? First of all, it must be cooked completely, all the way through. Okay, you cannot serve rare or medium rare chicken in this day and age without taking your life in your hands. Second of all, chicken is loaded with fat, especially American chicken. So if you use the wrong method, let's say if you try and direct grill fatty piece of chicken with the skin on, your grill will soon turn into a flaming conflagration. The chicken looks perfect, but we'll check, as we always do, with an instant read meat thermometer, looking for 170 degrees at the thigh. Excellent. So now we can take out the bird. You may be surprised that I roasted the chicken at such a high temperature, 350 degrees. Well, the reason is simple. If you want crackling, crisp skin, you have to cook it at a higher temperature. So let's see how we did here. This is so juicy and the spice flavor is incredible. So the next time you want to grill moist chicken, don't forget to brine it. Well, the first time I had chicken under a brick was in Florence in Tuscany in Italy. There are actually two regions in Italy that claim its parentage, Rome and Tuscany, both very serious eating places, I may add. They both claim to have invented it. It's a pretty important dish. Travel the world's barbecue trail and you'll find poultry under a brick on several continents. There are many advantages. The brick seems to compact the flesh, keeping it moist and giving you crackling, crisp skin. Besides, the process looks really tough, and you can never underestimate the importance of looking cool at the grill. This is a game hen, and the first step is to remove the backbone by making lengthwise cuts with poultry shears. What I'm doing here is called spatchcocking, and it enables you to cook a whole bird using direct grilling. So open the game hen up like a book, insert the tip of the knife through the breastbone, and then simply run your fingers along the sternum and pop out the bone. Next, make a cut in the skin between the legs and tuck the ends of the drumsticks through the slit. Finally, tuck the wingtips under the wings. And that is all there is to spatchcocking a game hen. You can see you'll be able to direct grill this like a chicken breast. There's another advantage to spatchcocking, and that is because you take a big round bird and you flatten it out, you maximize the amount of surface area exposed to both the marinade and the seasonings and also the fire. So it's a great way to enhance the flavor of chicken or game hen. Now, the marinade is a sort of pesto made without the nuts and cheese. It starts with fresh basil, whole garlic, salt, freshly ground black pepper, and grind these ingredients together. Then add the liquid ingredients, extra virgin olive oil, freshly squeezed lemon juice, and enough water to thin the mixture to pourable consistency. And pour the marinade over the game hens. That basil has such a great fresh smell. Lift the game hens up to make sure the marinade coats both sides. Then put the game hens in the refrigerator and marinate for at least 4 hours or as long as overnight. Now the brick, and when I said brick, I really mean it. The ideal brick is one of these shallow paving bricks, and you wrap it in aluminum foil, shiny side out. You can also use a metal grill press. So I'm working on a gas grill, which I have preheated to medium-high. Don't forget to give the grill a quick brush with your wire brush and oil the grate with either a folded paper towel or a cotton oiling cloth dipped in vegetable oil. No need to use extra virgin olive oil. Okay, now the cool part. Cooking time, about 8 to 12 minutes. By the way, even though this is an oil-based marinade, check it out. There are really no flare-ups. And I'm going to leave the grill lid open. First of all, I want to monitor the cooking. Second of all, this process looks so cool. I want to make sure everybody sees it. The beauty of the stone is that it presses and compacts the meat, which gives the meat and the skin a very crusty consistency. Another advantage is because you're cooking the chicken covered, it prevents it from drying out. And if you like, you can give each hen a quarter turn to lay on a crosshatch of grill marks. You know what a fanatic I am about my grill marks. Italians call this pollo al matone. Mexicans call it pollo a la piedra. I call it a fantastic way to grill poultry. So how do you know when it's time to turn the bird? Cook the hens until golden brown on one side, and then you can turn each one over. Don't be afraid to get in there with your hands. Okay, well the game hens look done. How do I know? Give them the poke test. They feel firm to the touch. Of course, another way to check is with our trusty instant read meat thermometer. Insert it into the deepest part of the thigh. It should read about 170 degrees. These birds are crusty and beautiful. Game hens under a brick, because some questions in barbecue deserve a weighty response. If you love chicken and you love basil, this is paradise. So now you know the secret to grilling poultry without undercooking it or burning it. See you next time. Can grilling make an ordinary cook extraordinary? Well, I sure like to think so, but you have to know what you're doing. And a lot of people confuse grilling with burning. Okay, grilled food is great, burnt food is not so great. try and do on the Primal Grill is teach you how to grill food, not burn it. Trout grilled in prosciutto with lemon and dill. This actually crunches when you bite into it. Swordfish steak and bake with mango salsa. A fried fish sandwich never tasted so good. And a spectacular cedar plank salmon with miso glaze. It is so neat the way that cedar aroma flavors the fish. 3 great ways to grill fish. No fears, no tears. I'm Stephen Reichlin, and from the beautiful Tubac Golf Resort in southern Arizona, it's time to fire up the grill. To judge from your emails, a lot of people have problems grilling fish. Does your fish A, stick to the grill grate, B, break when you try and turn it, C, come out raw in the center, or D, hopelessly overcooked? Well, if one of these problems sound familiar, listen up. I'm going to show you 3 great fail-proof ways to grill fish. Planking is about the easiest way I know of to grill fish, and because you cook it on a plank in one fell swoop, you eliminate the problem of fish sticking to the grill grate and the fish falling apart when you turn it. Plank salmon burst upon the American grill scene in the 1990s. It was love at first bite and first sight. We loved the incredible aroma of the soaked cedar plank, and we loved how outrageously cool the plank salmon looked on the grill. I have here wild sockeye salmon. Normally it comes with the bones removed, but you can always run your finger over the top of the fillet, and if you find a bone, just pull it out with a needle nose plier. So, first step, turn the salmon over, lightly brush the bottom with olive oil or sesame oil, then season with coarse salt and freshly ground or cracked black peppercorns. Place the salmon on the soaked cedar plank, and it's really important, folks, to soak the planks so that they steam rather than catch fire. Now, season the top again with a little bit of coarse sea salt and cracked black pepper. Okay, in keeping with the pack rim origins of this dish, we'll top the fish with a miso glaze. Miso is a cultured soybean paste from Japan. It's sweet and salty, and you can use many different varieties. This is white miso, this is red miso. Both are excellent for this dish. Combine equal parts miso and mayonnaise, then add sugar, freshly grated lemon zest, and white pepper, and whisk these ingredients together to make a smooth glaze. Okay, so spread the miso glaze on top of the salmon, and you just want enough to coat the entire fish. And there's your plank salmon ready for grilling. Now, if you want a slightly more formal version of this dish, you can use individual cedar planks. Cut your fish. We'll take a nice center cut section here, and we can cut about a 2-inch piece. Place the fish running diagonal to the board. And again, we season with coarse salt and our cracked or freshly ground black pepper, and spread the fish with the glaze. Let me show you how I've set up the grill. Now, we're going to indirect grill the salmon, but I like to preheat it with all 6 burners on, so it's really screaming hot. We'll put the big plank And the small planks in the front. And turn off the burners that are directly under the planks, okay? So classic indirect grilling, but you want to work at a slightly higher temperature. Then close the grill. Take about 20 to 30 minutes for the fish. Meanwhile, let me show you a great fennel fresh orange slaw to serve with the plank salmon. Fennel makes a great slaw to serve with grilled salmon because it's sweet and licoricy, so it sort of plays off the sweetness in the miso. So the part we use the fennel for the slaw is the bulb, but you can also use the leaves as an herb and garnish. So thinly sliced fennel in the bowl. These are fresh orange segments, very light, fresh slaw. The fennel leaves, finely chopped garlic, fresh lemon juice, extra virgin olive oil, salt, coarse sea salt, and freshly ground black pepper. Simply toss these ingredients together. The clean licoricy flavor of fennel makes a great accompaniment for fish. So I'll just simply transfer this to a serving bowl. And you can garnish it with a sprig of fennel leaves. Plankfish is traditionally associated with the Pacific Northwest. I have, however, seen 19th century recipes for plankfish that originate on the East Coast. I think it's one of those ideas that just sprang up in many places at once. It's been about 25 minutes, and the fish is cooked to perfection. And the way you tell it's done, squeeze the sides and you'll feel it will break into clean flakes. Now, the beauty of plank salmon is that A, the fish never touches the grate, so it won't stick to the grill grate. And B, because you cook it on one side, you don't need to worry about turning it. There's your plank salmon with miso glaze and orange and fennel slaw. Looks pretty terrific. Let's see how we did. It is so neat the way that cedar aroma flavors the fish. And let me just take a bite of the fennel orange slaw here. This dish really came together in about a half an hour. So it's something you could make on a busy weeknight. The biggest challenge with grilling trout, pretty much like grilling every fish, is leaving some portion of it stuck to the grill grate when you go to turn it or remove it from the grill. Well, I had the idea to use paper-thin slices of prosciutto. It looks really cool, and it works great. Your fish will not stick to the grill grate. Remember that American camping classic, trout cooked with bacon over an open fire? Well, here's the uptown version, featuring trout stuffed with lemon and dill and wrapped and grilled in prosciutto. It's another strategy for keeping fish from sticking to the grill grate. We have beautiful Idaho trout here, and the first step is to trim off the fins using kitchen shears. This is purely aesthetic. But remember, we eat with our eyes as well as our palate. Next, open up the trout and season it first with coarse salt and cracked or freshly ground black pepper, finely chopped fresh dill, and a couple slices of lemon. And then to keep the fish nice and moist, you can squirt it with a little extra virgin olive oil. The next step is wrapping and tying the fish. So cut yourself about 12 or 14 inches of butcher string. This must be real cotton string, by the way, and not synthetic. And lay a slice of prosciutto ham on top. Next, lay the fish on top of the prosciutto, and you can season the outside with a little bit more salt and pepper. Lay another slice of prosciutto on top of the trout, and then tie the prosciutto in place with the string. Now, this is a cool knot I learned from one of my students who's a surgeon. You loop through twice and pull the string, and that second loop actually locks the string in place. So you can tie it like a conventional knot. And the last step, again, just to prevent sticking, brush the tops of the trout with a little vegetable oil or olive oil. Let me show you the grill. Here's a new grill to add to your collection. It belongs to a family of grills called the Kamado cooker. Now, it has several features, and the first is this venting system, which allows you to go from a very low heat to a very high heat.